Hello and welcome to this week's episode of This Week. And in this episode, I want to talk about the browser wars. And then I'll talk about Russia-Ukraine war, what I got right and wrong, and why India sided with Russia on Russia-Ukraine issue in United Nations. And then I'll talk about politics of Asia. So let's start with browser wars. I was inspired to make this topic based on Linus Tech Tips Begone Edge video and all the points he made about Microsoft Edge and all the shady stuff that Microsoft does to promote Edge or make users use Edge. And like, please try Edge. Those actions are inexcusable, but I will try to defend Microsoft here a little bit, not because I think that Microsoft is innocent here, but everyone is doing this. Google is doing this and Apple is doing this as well. I think Microsoft is shooting itself in the foot by aggressively pushing Microsoft Edge, and people are just annoyed. They don't want those annoying notifications. Hey, please use Edge, please use Bing or whatnot. If they choose that browser, they choose that browser. And a lot of people have come out, a lot of influencers have come out and promoted Microsoft Edge as a good browser, and because of that, Microsoft Edge's market cap has increased a lot in recent 2 years or so after they switched to Chromium. And I think it's a good browser. I've personally used it. I go back and forth between Edge and my Mozilla Firefox and Brave browser. I go back and forth between three. I keep testing all three of these simultaneously and sometimes exclusively, and I think it's a good browser overall, but they're shooting themselves in the foot. What Microsoft is probably going to think, we're pushing this browser aggressively and its market share has gone up, so that means our efforts are working, when in fact it's the marketing of all the different influencers that promoted Microsoft Edge that made Edge's market cap or market share go up. But what about Google? What about Apple? Do you know what they do? Now, this is where I kind of agree and kind of disagree with Linus Tech Tips video. He said Google Chrome got to where it is by actually being a good browser. Now, Chromium is a good engine. It's a good browser engine, I think, and it deserves all the success that it has got, the Chromium engine. But Google Chrome has some serious shady stuff going on, or rather Google services. What they do here basically is, check the user agent. And what user agent is, it is what browser you're using and what device you're using. So if you're watching this on Google Chrome on Windows, then your agent is Google Chrome on Windows, in simple terms. And what they do, if they detect any other browser than Google Chrome, then Google services will slow down on this browser. Not just, and this is not just like one-off thing, but it has happened repeatedly. They use user agent detection tools, whatever they are, right? and they will slow down other browsers. They'll slow down their services on other browsers, but they will speed up those same services on Google Chrome. And when users are switching to Google Chrome, they think, oh great, Google Chrome is faster than the other browsers. But all this all of these shenanigans are contributing to Google's market share. They don't do this all the time, but they have been caught repeatedly. And a lot of times, a lot of YouTubers have seen this, uh, where they'll try to upload some video on YouTube, it just won't work on any other browser, and they contact YouTube support, and YouTube support just says, use Google Chrome, it just works. Now, there is nothing wrong with promoting your browser using proprietary stuff. This is like ecosystem stuff, classic. Apple does this as well, and Google is going to do this to promote Google Chrome, to collect all your data. Fair enough. If Apple ecosystem is good, Google should be allowed to do this. But they do that. But what about this user agent thing? There's no excuse for that. Why do they do that? To get you to switch Google Chrome. And if you open google.com on any other browser other than Google Chrome, what you'll get is download Chrome, it's the fastest browser, or whatever. Some pop-up will appear on google.com if you use any other browser other than Google Chrome. And so it's not just Microsoft that is pushing this aggressively. Google is doing this as well. Google is a lot more subtle about it, and Microsoft is not. And between Microsoft and Google, it's Apple. They push their WebKit engine in iOS. Now, I don't have enough experience on iOS to definitively, like, I don't have enough experience on iOS to tell you that Apple is aggressive about this. But I have seen a lot of articles and a lot of YouTube videos that all the other browsers in iPhone are just skins of Safari. So they push their WebKit engine on iOS. So in 1990s, Microsoft was sued for bundling their browser with Windows. All the monopoly and all that. Antitrust. Now Microsoft, Google, Apple, they just bundle in their browser, their voice assistant, their app store, their chat app, their news app, their maps app, and their cloud storage. Right? How is that not antitrust? How is that okay in the eyes of the law? Did the laws change? Is it okay now because it has more competition or whatever? How is this okay? Google and Apple, they also bundle their payments app, their email client, their entertainment services, music streaming and video streaming. Apple also bundles their fitness app. Google does not, because Google's fitness efforts haven't gone well so far. Apple also bundles other apps like Watch app, Books app, Podcast app, Translate app. So why aren't they being sued for antitrust for bundling their apps and services? Microsoft, Google, and Apple. Apple is being investigated for their App Store and right to repair. Google is being investigated for their default search engine and to lesser extent Google Chrome. So this is the browser wars. Microsoft gets a lot of hate because they're the most aggressive ones. But the other ones, Google and Apple, they also push their browser heavily. And Microsoft is least subtle about it. And that's the browser wars. few weeks ago I explained. So few weeks ago I created an episode about why Russia was trying to invade Ukraine. This was before the invasion happened, and I gave all the sides. Why Russia is doing it, why NATO is, what is the position of NATO, what is the position of EU, what is the position of United States, and why Ukrainians generally don't like Russians. So I predicted in that episode that war would happen in winter to put maximum pressure on Europe because of the Russian natural gas. I got that wrong. I also got few other things wrong. I thought China would invade Taiwan at the same time as Russia Ukraine to put political and economic strain on United States. I was wrong on that. Why didn't that happen? Maybe COVID that destroyed their economy. These communist countries, they're generally known for downplaying their weaknesses or their perceived weaknesses, right? So maybe COVID has destroyed Chinese economy a lot more than we know. Maybe lack of supply and logistics. This is what is happening with Russia. The Russian invasion of Ukraine should have been just quick, super quick. But now it's not. They have been bogged down because of logistics. And maybe Taiwan has rigged strong defenses, and they have put up strong defense systems, and China knows that. Maybe that's why they haven't invaded. It hasn't happened yet, at least at the time of this recording, but China has been flying its aircraft in Taiwan, especially in 2021, and they did that once during at least at the start of the Russia Ukraine invasion. They did fly their aircrafts near Taiwan. I'm hoping war doesn't happen between China and Taiwan, but I don't know. I also made another mistake. I said Putin is trying to create Soviet Union. He's not. He's trying to recreate the Russian Empire, but maybe without a monarch. Well, let's see. A lot of people pointed this out when they were trying to explain the history of Russia and Ukraine and why the West does not understand Russia. And here's the thing, the Russian soul, it's supposed to find meaning in struggle, whereas the Western soul or Western civilization is more about pursuing freedom and materialism. So these are the basic differences between Russia and West, and why the West doesn't understand Russia. I think what's happening in Ukraine is wrong. I think Russian invasion of Ukraine is wrong. But this gives this understanding of Russian soul is a lot more important. In fact, Russian writer, I think it was Tolstoy or Dostoevsky, I don't remember who said that. This was 100 plus years ago, and that in that time they said the future of Russia is in Asia, not in Europe. This was 100 plus years ago. How did they predict this? And Westerns still don't understand Russia, and a lot of Russians, they're against war. Don't get me wrong, they don't want to hurt Ukrainians, they don't want war, but the fundamental difference between an Orthodox civilization, which is Eastern Europe and Russia, and Western civilization is that Orthodox civilization finds meaning in struggle, whereas Western civilization is more about freedom and more about materialism. And what about Chinese civilization? Chinese civilization is about honor, and it's about balance and all. It's about calmness and peacefulness. So these are different civilizations, and they don't understand Putin because of this. He's a nationalist. He's not just autocrat. Of course, there's energy pipeline involved. Of course, Ukraine could have hurt Russia's businesses about natural gas and oil, and maybe that's why Russia invaded. But you cannot just ignore this fundamental difference between West and East, or rather West and Orthodox civilization. A lot of people were also confused by why India is silent on Russia, or why it is pursuing the same policies as China when it comes to international relations, foreign relations about Russia. So Indians, they sympathize with Ukrainian citizens, and I do as well. But India abstained on anti-Russia vote in United Nations. The other two countries being China and UAE. India has been friend with Moscow since the Soviet Union, and this has a lot of this kind of explains why India is doing what is doing. India doesn't want to side with Ukraine because post independence Ukraine voted against India in UNO. Ukraine voted against India joining UN Security Council. Ukraine sold weapons to Pakistan, which is India's biggest enemy in terms of politics, at least, and borders. Ukraine was in favor of sanctioning India after India successfully tested nuclear weapons in 1998. Bill Clinton wanted to put economic sanctions against India for becoming a nuclear state. Yes, in 1998, both United States and Ukraine were in favor of sanctioning India, just like they have sanctioned Iran, just like they have sanctioned Russia recently. They were in favor of doing that to India. Now now India and United States are allies. Think about that. Ukraine wanted international intervention in Kashmir issue in 2019. If you want friendship with India, you don't ask for international intervention in Kashmir issue. Even President Donald Trump, he understood that, but Ukraine did not. So why is India friends with Russia? The West refused to help India against Mao Zedong and his goons because India was soft on communism, even though communist nation is attacking India. So India sought Soviet help. This friendship deepened after Sino-Soviet split, where Khrushchev's de-Stalinization policies angered Mao Zedong and his Communist Party. Moscow establishment helped India against Pakistan in 1971 war. Both United States and United Kingdom tried to help Pakistan to stop Bangladesh from getting independence. Yes, yes, the United States, which is all about freedom and democracy, didn't want freedom for Bangladesh. They wanted Pakistan to control Bangladesh, and Pakistan lost. Bangladesh is independent now. After dissolution of USSR, Russia replaced Soviet administration. They basically took over, which is why Russia is now on UN Security Council instead of Soviet Union, or instead of having nobody since Soviet Union collapsed. Russia has replaced Soviet Union administration, and Russia is biggest weapons producer for India. About 60% of Indian army weapons are Russian. And in under Biden administration, United States considers sanctioning India after India purchased Russian S-400 anti-missile systems. I think they sanctioned Turkey because of it, and wanted to some people in Washington wanted to sanction India for purchasing Russian weapons. So that's why Russia and India are friends. So why is it in India's interest? Why is it in India's interest to remain friends with Russia and America? Let me explain politics of Asia. With friendship with Russia, USA cannot boss India around like it does Europe and NATO. It cannot. With friendship with United States, Russia cannot boss India around. Russia wants to be the dominant power in Asia and is friends with China because they both want to limit Western power. And even China wants to be the dominant power in Asia. But because of West, Russia and China are together. Only for now. If Western influence wanes, you'll see Russia and China fighting each other slowly. Russia can use India to limit Chinese influence in Asia. China is trying to use Pakistan to limit Indian influence in Asia, but so far it seems unsuccessful. Reminds me of the Family Guy scene where God is introducing Asian to all the corporate executives. At the end of introduction, God says, for some reason they all hate each other. This is politics of Asia.
Hey, you guys notice how many Asians there are at this school? I mean, how'd they all get so smart?
I don't know. Guess that's just the way God made them.
Gentlemen, I give you the Asian. Ooh! Compact, hairless, and fiercely intelligent. The penises, while tiny, are extremely efficient. We're projecting 10 billion within 5 years. Also, there'll be different varieties that will all hate each other for some reason.
Russia is friends with both India and China, but doesn't want China to become too big. Russian citizens hate China. India, Pakistan hate each other. China, Pakistan are friends. Even Japan and South Korea do not like each other, but their interests are aligned. They are friends with United States and they both hate China. North Korea, South Korea hate each other. Vietnam hates China more than United States, even after United States and Vietnam war. So this is the politics of Asia. Everyone hates everyone. And that's why India will stay friends with both United States and with Russia. Well, thank you so much for tuning in this week. And I'll see you guys next week.